Currently in America, we are having an issue amongst laws and people and gun violence. Throughout my research with my team, we have realized that countless statistics within America in itself and within our own community has affected children and adults deeply when it comes to guns and mental health. Throughout this journey of this documentary, I wanted to show you guys what our community, specifically our school, East Orange STEM Academy, has been going through and how they've been affected by gun violence, and I hope you all enjoy.
Hi, Pierre. So this report looked at 173 incidents of mass violence in the U.S. from 2016 to 2020. What were some of the key findings here?
Near Dallas,
we start hearing rock, rock, rock.
the Atlanta Medical Office.
All I see was police cars and SWAT, and everybody's just pulling up, back to back, back to back.
Neighbors shot in Cleveland, Texas, a Sweet 16 birthday party in Alabama, a Louisville bank, and an elementary school in Nashville.
How are our children still dying, and why are we failing them?
40,000 people in the U.S. die from gun violence. This is every year, and that's more than 100 people each day. Well, data also shows people of color die more from gun violence compared to white people. And you know what? Black people top the chart.
Another young life cut short by gun violence.
A teenager in New Jersey has died after getting shot in the head this afternoon. CBS 2's Allie Bauman spoke to witnesses in East Orange.
In the present time of our country as we know it, the United States has suffered greatly from gun violence and has affected many mentally. As of 2022 to 2023, it has been proven that 500 people a day in the United States have died because of gun violence. And just to be clear on our agenda, we need to make sure that we know what gun violence actually is. According to AmnestyInternational.org, gun violence is a violence committed with the use of firearms, for example, pistols, shotguns, assault rifles, or machine guns. In order to really get in touch with what our community feels towards gun violence, we also went out and decided to ask some of our students and staff how they feel about gun violence and what they feel they think the solution is to this horrible, horrible issue that's happening in our world today. State your name.
My name is Joshua Simon.
How has gun violence affected you, and what do you think we could do to fix it?
Gun violence affects my family in the way that my grandfather and uncles do have PTSD from being within the military in their service, and I have had gun violence happen within my city.
Okay, what do you think we can do to fix gun violence?
I think that we should register everyone who owns a gun and ban assault weapons.
Get your name and your grade.
My name is Jaden Tucker, 10th grade.
Okay. How do you think we can solve gun violence in America?
Put more laws restricting access to guns, or maybe more background checks.
But pertaining to gun violence, a lot of students specifically mentioned the fact that in order to solve it, they wanted to change the gun laws. But to be more specific about the gun law that we would most likely change, I would like to introduce to you the Second Amendment, which states, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It was also very important to address how students feel about gun violence other than changing the laws, and also how our staff, such as guidance counselors and teachers, feel about the youth being affected by these gun laws. State your name and your grade.
Brianna Thompson, 11th grade.
Okay, how do you think we can put a stop to gun violence?
I think we could put a stop to gun violence by educating the youth about the dangers of potential weapons and how not to use them.
Please state your name and occupation.
My name is Lauren Woods, and I am a school counselor.
Okay, how do you think as a guidance counselor the students you mentor are affected by gun violence?
I think that especially in the last couple of years, the district has lost a number of students due to gun violence. And what we've seen in doing counseling for all of those incidents, students are becoming like desensitized to it because it's happening more and more, and it's happening to students that their peers that they're really close with. So there's like a short period of mourning, and then a couple of weeks later, it's as if, nothing really ever happened. They still think about their friends, but it's almost becoming normal for students to have to get over their friends or family members succumbing to gun violence. So unfortunately, I think that again, students are being desensitized, and it's a little concerning because that's not something that anyone should be desensitized to. We definitely just make sure we're present to provide support for when the students need it and when they do want to come in and talk about it and express themselves. But again, after time goes by, it's just, back to their regularly scheduled routines, which is unfortunate.
Hello, my name is Noah, and I'm a senior.
Okay. What do you think the youth can do to stop gun violence?
I think that we can hold forums and open discussions so people with different perspectives or different opinions can talk to each other and hopefully convince those who don't want to stop gun violence to do so. And after that, as a unit, we can go up and try to find or make a petition or go up to government asking them for laws that can prevent gun violence.
Please state your name and occupation.
Mr. Shaw, I'm a base substitute here at S.A.M.E Academy.
How do you think you're affected by gun violence?
I'm scared of it. It can happen at any time. I don't look at it more so as being a color thing, as guns don't look at color or anything like that. It's the people you surround yourself with, the environment you're in, and it's America. Anything can happen at any time. You just have to be aware of your surroundings, no matter where you are, no matter what you know. It's just the culture we live in.
How do you think we can solve the gun violence in America?
Get rid of guns in America. I think we need to get rid of that. Protecting ourselves. We have a military, we have a National Guard, so there's no point for civilians to be able to have to take up arms in case we're being invaded or anything of that nature, like when this country was first founded. The country has matured and our laws need to mature in the same fashion and eliminate certain things that are not necessary to livelihood anymore. You don't need a AK-47 if you want to go hunting.
Very true. How do you think gun violence is affecting the youth that you teach?
I feel like a lot of people feel as if a gun can solve their problems, where it actually is the beginning of a lot more problems.
Okay.
Again, guys, the most important process is looking at correct.
Something remarkable that was said in the previous clip is that guns don't actually solve current problems, but in fact add more problems. A specific problem that is continually being added towards gun violence is mental health. Because of mass shootings and other types of gun violence, many people have suffered mentally. PTSD, anxiety, depression, and more mental disorders that has changed their lives forever. Here are a few statistics that prove that claim.
Physician Dr. Alok Patel joins me live now to discuss the mental toll these shootings can have on children who survive them. Dr. Patel, thanks for being here. You say that gun violence should be viewed as a public health problem. Why?
And Diane, good morning. It's good to be here with you. And I am by far not the only person who thinks that gun violence should be viewed in a public health scope, but this is also echoing major medical institutions, including the CDC. You know, if we just look at motor vehicle accidents, which used to be the leading cause of death in pediatric population, that has now gone down because it was viewed in the same scope we should be viewing gun violence as. When you identify the problem, you're now going to be looking at data related to harm reduction. How do we reduce the amount of gun violence related injuries and deaths? How do we actually put that and implement that into communities, identify risk factors, look at what works, and then look at widespread adoption? We remove the politics and just go straight to the data. That is what we've done for everything from motor vehicle accidents to influenza to COVID-19 to drowning. That is what we need to do. That is what the new current CDC funding hopefully is going to accomplish moving forward when it comes to gun violence.
So what's the impact that events like this have on kids, both ones who were there and survived these kinds of events, and also, you know, kids watching on TV asking their parents what's going on and maybe afraid to go to school right now?
And it's horrific, the impact this has on kids' mental health, not only acutely with regards to anxiety, fear about going back to school in public, but even long-term with some kids exhibiting symptoms of general anxiety disorder, panic, or even PTSD, especially in young children. I'm glad you brought up the Washington Post tracker and looking at 310,000 kids who have been exposed to school shootings since Columbine. You also have to look at the undisclosed number of kids who have been around gunshots in their neighborhoods, had a family member or a friend affected by firearm violence as well. I'll bring up two studies, both from JAMA. One was actually looking at kids in the age 11th and 12th grade, looking at the impact that school violence had on them, and they were found to have an increased risk of anxiety and panic disorder 6 months after stating they had fear of being in their school environment. And a more recent study that came at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia with UPenn, and what that basically showed was that kids related to the proximity of gun shooting in their neighborhood, if they were close to that within 4 blocks, they had an increased incidence of going to the ER for mental health issues. Dan, these are just two studies. We look a lot of times at the direct impact of gun violence, looking at those who died, and not enough time at looking at those who were just injured or the indirect effects of gun violence as well, and what that is doing to an entire generation of kids right now.
Bishop Frank Douglas Jr. and Teresa Nunley both lost their children to violence. Two different stories with one shared outcome. Their children are no longer here.
That first 2 months, I thought I was just going to stop preaching.
Losing my baby boy has been the most trying test of my faith.
Both experienced an unimaginable grief and significant stress on their mental health.
I talked to him 30 minutes before he died. And I just started praying. I just felt, I don't know what I felt, but I just started praying like I've never prayed before. When I got the call, I just knew. It felt like my soul was ripped out of my body. I felt it.
A grief, trauma, and reaction that adult psychiatrist Dr. Sasha Hamdani says our entire community could be feeling, whether we've been affected personally or not.
I'm going to avoid these areas. I'm not going to go out at these certain times. So things like that, it might be impacting you more than you think.
I know I was overwhelmed just of seeing, constant young people dying, people being killed every day. It took a toll on me before I lost my son.
My name is Mikael, and I'm in the 12th grade.
Okay. As the youth, what do you think we can do to stop gun violence?
I think that we can organize protests to spread awareness about gun violence so that maybe the adults and higher ups can listen to us and try to find actual solutions.
I'm Madison, and I'm in 12th grade.
Brianna, 12th grade.
Okay, so how do you think gun violence can change in your generation?
I think as of right now, it's just something that all of us have to kind of take accountability for and be willing to look at the facts and the statistics and kind of see more or less what is the best way for us to go about. I think all the different cases of how it occurs kind of changes, and it's more of a case-by-case basis rather than just like one huge picture. So we kind of have to look at everything all together.
Gun laws. That simple.
Joe Rafinsky, I'm a teacher at East Orange STEM Academy. I'm teaching about plenty of years, long time.
Being that you are a teacher who teaches history and social studies, what laws have you taught your students about gun violence, and do you think they should be changed?
Well, we always bat around the Second Amendment. It all stems from the Second Amendment. We always often talk about the need to have weapons in the early days of the forming of the nation. And we know what the Second Amendment was written for. But I don't know that you can be an originalist forever with the Constitution as it was originally designed to adapt to the changing times. And there's a large segment of the well-endowed population with political clout that doesn't want to change the Second Amendment. And there's lots of folks who look at that and say, well, maybe there should be some changes. So the states have taken up the idea of gun laws. Some states like New Jersey have made them significantly harder, same as New York. Other states like Florida, for example, and Indiana might be the other one, Texas, Wyoming, I believe, have made it easier to carry conceal without necessarily having a permit. I don't know if that's the answer. The hair on my neck stands up, and for some reason, I don't think so. There's a disconnect between what practical safety is with adults and their kids, or with young adults of any age. Actually, I shouldn't say adults of any age who believe that they may have carte blanche to simply enforce fears, whether it be fears of xenophobia with races, religions, or replacement theory. Something drives them. There has to be a reckoning somewhere along the line of the philosophy of why that should exist.
Okay. What do you think the future beholds when it comes to gun violence?
Future? You know, if I can call a spade, I think there has to be a reckoning with the political clout of the National Rifle Association. I think a lot of states that allow people to carry without permits need to re-look at those things. And I think if we get right down to it, weapons manufacturers have to be somewhat responsible for where their weapons end up. I think there has to be some kind of connection between those who supply the weapons and those who buy them and sell them, and where they end up.
I'm Jasmine. I'm in 11th grade.
Okay, so how has gun violence affected you?
Well, around our area, you could see like a lot of like younger kids getting shot, and like it's worrying because you see like kids our age getting killed.
Mm-hmm. How do you think we can solve gun violence?
If we have better restrictions on gun laws.
As you can see with the current interviews and testimonials, the obvious reason for change is to change gun laws. But at STEM Academy, we have also tried to initiate solutions for the people in our community. With our club S.A.M.E, which also stands for Student Advancement, Mindfulness, and Encouragement, we are here to encourage the students around us, to support them mentally, and to give them an outlet to express themselves and how gun violence has affected them and how we can help them be better out of it. Throughout the time in our program throughout this year, we have also initiated a project which has been included in our art program that includes students making their own quilt designs of how they feel like gun violence should be addressed. This is one project that we have initiated this year, but we also plan to continue to push projects like this within our school and our community in order to say that we want to stop gun violence.
We want to stop gun violence.
We need to put a stop to gun violence.
We want to stop gun violence.